Okay, we're going to review these inequalities, absolute value with inequalities. Okay, these will be on your test. So let's review by doing this one first. Okay, everybody go ahead and try. Give you some time. Okay, everybody try. Solve and graph. Okay, go ahead. How many people know whether or not we have conjunction or disjunction right now? Since we have the absolute value by itself, we could tell, right? Because we have greater, remember greater? Do we have and or in the middle? Yes. Or, remember, this is called the disjunction. So who could tell me the two inequalities with or that we get? Aram?
X is greater than or equal to 2 and x is less than or equal to negative 6 over 5.
No, not the answer. I want the two inequalities that we get straight from this. First, we get the same, yes. Ani?
5x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 8, and 5x minus 2 is less than or equal to 2.
Good. Now, and or in the middle? Or. Okay, good. So you did the right thing. You reversed the inequality symbol. Right, look, the first inequality that you get from this absolute value, remember, when you have absolute value inequality problems, this really is two inequalities, right, all combined together. The one that you get on the left is the same exact thing without the absolute value. The other one on the right, you have to reverse the inequality symbol and write the opposite of the number on the right of it, right? You guys remember this? So when you solve, now, did anybody need more time to solve? Okay, did you all get this? When you solve, you get x is greater than or equal to 2, or x is less than or equal to negative 6 over 5. Is this what we got? Yes? Yeah?
On the test, you have to write the or down.
You have to what?
You have to write or.
Yeah, of course you do. If you don't, then how do you know how to get the right answer? How do you know how to graph? What's the graph look like? What does the graph look like? Hello? How do we graph this? What does the graph look like? Liam?
You put negative 6 and 2, and it goes like graph to the right, 2, and graph to the left, 6 over 5.
That's right. And do we include the endpoints?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Okay, so isn't this the graph we get? I want you to solve and graph, remember? Does this make sense? You guys remember this stuff? All right, good. Any question? Why don't we try example 2? Go ahead, guys. Okay, first of all, could we tell whether or not we have conjunction or disjunction right now? No, why not? Why can we not tell whether or not we have a conjunction or disjunction? Yes, sir. Yeah, the absolute value is not by itself. You can't tell, right? Just because it has greater than right now, you cannot say that this is disjunction. So you must have the absolute value by itself. That's what that is, okay? So do you understand? So how do we get the absolute value by itself here? Chris?
You subtract by 5.
Okay, very good. Do I do 5 minus 4 first and get 1? Can I do that, guys? Why not? Why can I not do this? It says 5 minus 4. Why can't we just do 5 minus 4? Yeah.
You have to follow the order of operations.
Yeah, the order of operations says you got to multiply first. By the way, could I multiply 4 times 2 minus 3x in the absolute value? No, you don't want to do that. We don't know how to do that, okay? So you don't want to multiply this. You don't want to distribute, in other words, when there's an absolute value. You just want to get rid of all these numbers on the other side. So you have to get rid of this 5 by subtracting 5 first. Chris is correct. Right, guys? Don't do 5 minus 4. That's wrong, right? You don't do that first. Right? Think of the absolute value, this whole thing, as x, right? It's like, think of this as having 5 minus 4x. Does that make sense? How do you get the x by itself? You subtract 5 first, right? Then you do what? Yeah. Then you divide by negative 4. Right? Do you understand? Okay, who could tell me what I get when I divide by negative 4 here? Will?
I got like the absolute value of 2 minus 3x
Uh-huh.
is less than negative 4.
Less than negative 4. Good. You reverse the inequality symbol because you're dividing by negative. When do we also divide? When do we also reverse the inequality symbol? When you divide by negative or when you? Two people knows? Yes. Multiply by negative. That's correct. Okay. Now, who could tell me now? Is this going to be and in the middle or in the middle of the two inequalities? It's less than, so it is going to be and. Who could tell me the two inequalities that we get? Okay. Anybody else that didn't go here? Sean?
2 minus 3x is less than negative 4.
Good. Same exact thing without the absolute value.
4.
Is it or and?
What?
What goes in the middle? Is it or and?
Or and.
It should be and because it's less than what?
2 minus 3x is greater than 4.
That's correct. Okay, go ahead, everybody solve. Okay, I'll wait for you guys. Okay, go ahead. Okay, who can now then tell me what will you get? On the left side, what does that become? Yeah. X is greater than 2. Okay, on the right side, what do I get? Yeah, sorry. X is less than negative. Okay. Negative 2 over 3, right? Okay, good. How many people got this graph? You got the open circle like this? Okay, raise your hand. Okay, good. Is this my answer? Is this my solution? No. If you leave it like this, you will be wrong. Why is this wrong? I thought this is the correct graph. Yeah. Say it again. So yeah, what do you think the solution is then? Yeah, here solution is, guys, what? There is no solution. Why not? Yeah. Yes, and what's that mean? That there has to be an intersection of these two inequalities, right? Is there any overlap? No, there isn't any. Therefore, there is no solution. Or Paula actually saw this already. She said, wait, absolute value of anything cannot be less than some negative number. That means it has to come out to be some negative. Is it possible for this to come out to be negative? Absolute value of any number is what? Positive. It's never negative. Therefore, it makes sense that you get no solution. You guys remember this? Yeah. Okay, we're going to switch your gear a little bit and do one without any absolute value. Do you guys remember that sometimes they use this shortcut of writing two inequalities using this shortcut? What does this really mean? Who remembers? Okay, who could tell me what this shortcut means? Yes?
I think there's no shortcut up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here you go. Okay, here. What does this mean? So when they write, this is really representing two inequalities, okay, using this shortcut. Yeah, Brandon, what does it mean?
It means that x plus 4 is greater than or equal to negative 2, and x plus 4 is less than 5.
Excellent. This is a conjunction. It's this one, right? That's exactly inequality, this. And what else? This. You guys remember this? So if you ever get this, don't get confused. It's all it is just negative 2 less than or equal to x. And what? X plus 4 less than 5. You guys remember this? This is a conjunction. Could we do this kind of shortcut for disjunction? Meaning, could we have or in the middle and do something like this? No, you cannot. Only time you could write it this way is when you have and in the middle. I mean and, okay? Does that make sense? Go ahead and solve, see what you get. Go ahead and graph as well, okay? Okay, so do we get, on the left side, do we get x is greater than negative 6? Okay, does that make sense? Okay, what about on the right side? Okay. Then we subtract 4 from both sides. We get x is less than what, guys? 1. And this is always and right here, right? Once it's and, once it's conjunction or disjunction, it doesn't change. Does that make sense? Okay, so once it's conjunction or disjunction, it does not change. So here we get negative 6. Here we get 1. It says x is what? Yeah, greater than or equal to. So you always read with x first. So is it going to be right side of this or left side? Right of the negative 6 or left of the negative 6? Right. Closed circle, isn't that right? What about this? Open it. Now, this is a scratch work. So what does this become then? Every number between what, guys? Negative 6 and 1. Which one is closed circle? Which one's open? There you go. Any question? Does that make sense? Now, have you ever wondered, then, why do we have to reverse the inequality symbol when you what? Divide by negative or multiply by negative. Have you ever wondered why we do this? So I want you to kind of understand why we do this. So think about this for a second. So we have to do this, right? Because otherwise, it doesn't come out to be true. So think about this. Is negative 2 less than 4? Is this true? Okay, this is true, correct? Now, look what happens if I try to divide both sides by negative, I don't know, negative 1. Okay. And if I kept the inequality symbol as it is, do I get a true statement? No, I get 2 less than -4. Is that true? No, this is not true. Therefore, in order to make this inequality true, guess what? You have to reverse. That's the reason why when you divide both sides by negative, right, you have to reverse the inequality symbol. Does that make sense? So that was division. What if we now multiply? So for example, if we were to multiply both sides by -2 is still less than 4, but if you multiply both sides by now -2, what do you get? On the left you get +4, on the right you get -3, -8. So this is false, right? So do you see why you have to reverse, right? If you don't reverse, what happens? The statement becomes, false. So therefore you have to reverse. When you multiply or divide by negative number. Okay, does this make sense? Yes? Now, how come we don't reverse it when we multiply by positive number or negative number? I mean positive number or divide by negative or add by positive or add by negative and so forth? Yeah, is it going to, Kevin, why not? Yes, the smaller side will remain the small, right? You're keeping smaller side, and then if you add, right? If the left side is, like for example, 2 less than 8. If you add both sides by same number, would the left side still be less? If you subtract both sides by same number, would the left side still be less? Right? Do you want me to do an example? You understand why? Okay. Only time we have to reverse this when you divide by negative or multiply by negative. Does that make sense?